how do you see your kids and the young people, the young leaders, as the incident between the old people and the young people? Because from my society, the gap between the old and the young is very divided. So I want to see your perspective toward what is your initiative and what is your will as a president, a person who see a lot of problem. So what do you want to see from young people like us in the future when you get old? So what? I think you get my question, right?
Well, the first thing I want from young people is to stop calling me old. Come on. You hurt my feelings. Well, look, we all get old. That's true. And when I came in office, I had no gray hair. And now I have a lot. Although I will tell you that I don't dye my hair, and a lot of my fellow leaders do. I won't say who, but their barbers know, their hairdressers. You know, I think that the most important thing for young people is that they're not trapped in the past. And human progress is driven by looking at a problem with fresh eyes, with new eyes. And you know, as you get older, what happens is that you just get in the habit of seeing the same thing, and it becomes routine to you, normal. But when you're young, you ask your questions, well, why does it have to be this way? Right? Why does my community have to be poor? Why do we have to have pollution in the air? Why do we treat women differently than men when it comes to being able to go to college and get an education? Why should we discriminate against a minority group in our country? And that's the power of young people, is asking why. Now, you know, little kids, they naturally do that, right? You know, when you talk to a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and you tell them to do something, why? Why? And you know, sometimes as parents, we try to say, because I told you so. And we don't want to talk about it, right? But that impulse to ask why is actually what drives human progress. That's the reason that the steam engine was created. That's the reason the internet was created. That's the reason that Martin Luther King was able to march and change America. That's the reason that Gandhi was able to liberate India, is because they didn't take for granted the way things are, but instead tried to dream about the way things could be. And that's the job of young people. Old people don't do that because they're comfortable, or they become resigned, or they become cynical, or they're just tired, or they're comfortable. And so they don't ask those questions. But young people, you have to ask those questions. Now, you then have to work. And one of the things that I always say to young people when I talk to them anywhere, including in the United States, one of the flaws of young people is you're oftentimes impatient. And bringing about change, doing anything important, typically takes time. And it's hard work. And sometimes you'll fail initially. And you have to stay with it. And so you can't give up. So if you're asking a question, you know, how am I going to, why not start a business for clean energy? Well, You have to have an idea, you have to get capital, you have to have a business plan, you have to create the business. It may not work right away. You may get frustrated if you're trying to bring about political change. You know, there may be a lot of risks if you're trying to bring about political change in a place like Myanmar. Are you willing to take those risks? Are you willing to make sacrifices? What happens when it doesn't work initially? Are you willing to then get back up and start again? And that, I think, is the most important thing. Vision is important, but then you also have to have the persistence to keep working to make progress. And I always tell young people to have big dreams, but then also be willing to work for those dreams. It's not going to come right away. All right? Okay. Yes. I'm sure we have a microphone.